Welcome to Buffzone. I'm Kyle Ringo. This is Neill Woelk. We cover the Colorado football team for the Daily Camera newspaper. Doing our job the past 10 days hasn't been a lot of fun. Neill and I both predicted the Buffs would be 8-4 at the end of this season, and they're off to an 0-2 start. And Neill, I guess that makes us chumps. We're a couple of bozos. If the head coach said 10 wins were possible. Were we sold a bill of goods here, or what are your thoughts?
Kyle, we weren't sold a bill of goods. The problem is, let's cut down to the chase right here. You picked him to win the last two games. That's what's been the problem. You do realize that every time you pick them to win, they don't. So I think that, if you'll pick them to lose to Wyoming this week, which I'm guessing you probably will, then all things will be fixed.
I'm not sure I'm going to go there. If I have that much power, man. I'm controlling people. I'm the puppeteer here, huh?
In all honesty, I think everybody's a little bit surprised about how poorly the Buffs have played up to this point. I mean, you saw them practice throughout fall camp last spring. I saw them practice, saw them scrimmage, and I think we both agree that when we watched them practice, watched them scrimmage, that we believe they had the talent and the players, and they were good enough to go out there and win, a legitimate shot at winning 8 games. And the way they played in the first 2 games, continuing with the debacle in Toledo, I don't think that that 8 games is looking very possible right now. But Dan Hawkins continues to insist that they can get these things fixed. My guess is they need to do it in a hurry.
Yeah, I've been thinking the past couple of days, and I think there's something to be said for the whole preseason game aspect of the NFL. I know a lot of people hate preseason games, but if you think about it, we cover a college football team all through spring ball. It's about a month worth of time, and then another month in fall practice without ever really getting to see a meaningful game. And
well, all you see is they practice against each other.
Right.
And so you think they're good or they're bad, but they've only played against each other.
Yeah, I think I'm guilty of ignoring a couple of fundamental things here with this team this year, and that was they were going to be young on the offensive and defensive lines again, and I think both those areas have kind of been a little bit of a trouble spot for them. And then, that's caused problems with other parts of the team too, and just the overall performance of both units. But okay, so now we've covered all that. We're looking ahead here to Wyoming. What are your thoughts on the Wyoming Cowboys?
I look at this team, and I know that people don't want to hear that the little things are making the difference, but then I look at these statistics, and Dave Platty at CU had an incredibly interesting statistic this week. 16 plays. The Buffs have given up 1,000 yards this year on defense. 16 plays have accounted for 676 yards of that offense. And so when Dan Hawkins is talking about the little things, he's talking about just basically stopping, a handful of those big plays, and maybe things turn around a little bit. I'm not saying they will, but I think he's right in that respect, at least, that if they can prevent the big plays, they've got a shot. Number 2, when I look at Wyoming, they don't have playmakers. If you look at their first couple of games, they haven't had, big play potential in either one of their games so far. So I think there is, I think this is a very good chance for Colorado to get well this week.
Yeah, I think if you looked at the Colorado State and the Toledo teams ahead of time, the 2 areas where they were strong, both of those teams were at wide receiver and, some of the skill positions on offense, maybe not necessarily quarterback against Colorado State. They were breaking in a new guy there, but, Toledo definitely had a proven quarterback, and those guys made plays against Colorado. And I think you're right. Toledo or Wyoming does have challenges in that area in terms of finding playmakers on offense, but this defense has made playmakers out of guys this year. So I still am not convinced with that argument, because you look at a guy like Aaron Opelt at Toledo. He was their quarterback last year. He ran for negative 44 yards the entire season. Against the Buffs, he ran for more than 100 yards. That's what I mean by this defense.
60-some on one play.
Right. That's what I mean by this defense is finding ways to make guys who aren't playmakers. So I'll believe that when I see it with the CU defense. The CU defense really needs to show me something.
I think that's the way. I think that's the way most Buff fans are looking at it. At least those that aren't perched on the ledge, ready to take that last step. But I do think a lot of people out there are saying, okay, if it is the little things, whatever it is, it's time to show me. I mean, it's time for Dan Hawkins' team to step up this week and prove that it is just the little things, that there is still there's some talent on this team, that there is potential to salvage this season. And I hate to use the word salvage after 2 losses. I mean, I just think that it's still way too early to write off a complete season when you've got 10 games left. But certainly, it is time for Colorado to show that they can do some things, and you're not going to ask for a better opportunity to do it than against a young Wyoming team with its first-year coach coming in here.
Yeah, you mentioned the first-year coach, and this is a guy, Dave Christensen, been the offensive coordinator the past 8 years at Missouri, and the past couple of years with Missouri, he's had his way with Dan Hawkins, Ron Collins, the entire CU coaching staff, the entire CU team. I mean, Missouri's come in here, and albeit with guys like Chase Daniel, Jeremy Macklin, Tony Temple, Chase Kaufman, those types of guys, playmakers, they've come in here and beat the Buffs, and they beat the Buffs badly last year at Missouri, 58-0, ended the school's streak of scoring. They've beaten them 113-10 the past 2 times they've faced Dave Christensen coached offenses. So I still think, even though there's supposedly a lack of playmakers on the Wyoming team, I don't think if you're Dan Hawkins you could be real comfortable looking across the sideline or looking across the field to the other sideline on Saturday and seeing Dave Christensen standing over there.
No, I think you're right. I think the scheme that team plays.
What
I think
that?
You're right in that regard.
Well,
we'll write this down. I mean, it's the blind pig finding the acorn.
It's like the
Once
middle of September. We started shooting this show like 4 years ago. It's the middle of September 2009, and you finally said it, man. Let's just take a moment.
Okay, that's enough. We'll make it a small.
All right, go ahead. What were you going to say?